Peace and greetings. This is Ras Timotheos. Excuse me here while I get this set up. I'm using a different camera this time. Let's see here. Make sure we get the whole thing this time. Okay, so in this video I'll be speaking about religious customary items and practice of the Temple Divine, the Holy Temple of Yah, by Ambassador Ras Timotheos ben Israel. Okay, so a custom. What is a custom? A custom is a tradition, a traditional practice or body of such practice. Common tradition, a way or mode of doing something, the government of the kingdom of Yah authorized to service. A ritual or rite is any customary observance or practice, synonymous with tradition, practice, ritual, form, observance, unwritten law, usage, habit, way, manner, procedure, routine, or mode. So now we have a understanding of what custom is. Let's refer to the Temple Divine as the Temple Divine's customs, traditions, items used for identification of spiritual and religious usage, i.e. holy and set apart from the unholy. So in this slide we're talking about religious ceremonial items of the Temple of Yah. We have the prayer shawl, we have the chalice, the sacramental device, the sacramental cannabis, and as well as sacred books. So let's take a look at this short clip.
Temple Divine. First off, we have right here the black and white prayer shawl. Has the fringes on the ends.
It's referring to the
Fringes
prayer
on
shawl.
all four corners of the garment. This is specifically used for ritual and
Custom.
signifies one's relationship with Yah, the covenant one makes with Yah. The second spiritual religious device would be sacramental pipe,
The chalice.
also known as a chalice.
The sacramental device.
This is somewhat what we would use to partake in the sacrament. This one in particular is made out of clay.
Yeah, we use natural,
Homemade specifically
things
for
from the earth.
spiritual practices. And this here, this is my personal religious item. So it's my personal chalice.
We have communal
And also we have
personal items of the Temple Divine, the Holy Temple of Yah.
right here some sacrament. Smells so good. Those of you who know,
That's the sacrament.
sacrament smells like. Very pleasant. Lighting's not very good right here. Get a better view of that. Sacrament. this year it's not a lot, but we tend to do personal.
Give
You know,
thanks
have
and
our
praises
personal
to Jah for the creation of
steps
the
of
tree,
religious sacrament, and
the tree of life,
as well as
and the 12 manner of its fruits in season.
fruit sacrament. Oh man, it smells so good.
The fruit substance of divine mind. Religious ceremonial items. Cannabis, the sacrament. Separate from recreational, separate from medical. Religious, sacramental. Set apart
is
from the unholy.
To realize man's oneness with Yah. But if you guys want to know more about the sacrament or any other spiritual practices of the Temple of Divine, you should check out the other videos in this channel. But as far as our plans, we have the prayer shawl, we have cannabis, the sacrament, and we have the chalice, which we burn the sacrament unto Jah, and we also burn other incense like this, just regular incense stick.
Yeah, man, the incense stick.
Cinnamon, I think.
When the cannabis is rolled in the paper,
And
it creates a stick, an incense stick as well.
7-day candles for rituals or spiritual
ceremonies and ceremonial items.
So yeah, that's pretty much about it. We also have some sage,
Temple of Divine,
smudging sticks,
Holy Temple of Yah.
Yeah, that's pretty much it. And I just wanted to share with you guys.
Okay. Biblical reference to the customs and traditions. The customs of the priest's office. Luke 1:9. According to the customs of the priest's office, his lot was to burn incense when he went into the temple of the Lord. Now this is symbolic and also historic in nature. Aaron and his sons, Leviticus 24:9. And it shall be Aaron and his sons, they shall eat it in the holy place, for it is most holy unto him, of the offerings of the Lord made by fire, by a perpetual statute. Again, it is also metaphysical as well as physical. The Lord's Supper, Luke 22:19, 20 and 1 Corinthians 11:23 through 26, referring to the bread and the wine, supplemented by cannabis of the temple divine and burned in the chalice to represent the holy and sacred observation of the eating of the body of Christ. Here we have another short clip.
Going to be partaking of the sacrament. Prayer shawl.
Got the prayer shawl. The dreadlocks are also a symbol of the tradition and customs. To not shave or cut one's skin or hair. To not cut the corners of one's beard. These customs are based on the laws of Yah.
creator of the plants, creator of all things, man and woman.
As one is breaking up the sacrament and putting it into the chalice,
Yeah.
one is dwelling on the relationship between man and Yah, the divine mind indwelling. We will speak more about this in another video. The bread and the wine, supplemented by cannabis and burned in a chalice to represent the holy, sacred observation of the eating of the body of Christ, Yah, indwelling.
We are sacrament.
The sacrament
Chalice
is
in the sacrament.
in the chalice.
The sacrament is in the chalice. Yep. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam. Divine mind, supreme consciousness of the universe, divine Father of wisdom, knowledge, and understanding, divine Mother of peace, love, and unity, divine mind, supreme consciousness.
As the sacrament is burned, man meditates on Yah indwelling Christ's body in man, in man's consciousness, the appropriation of the divine thoughts in man's mind. The eating of the bread and the body, burned in a chalice, cannabis burned in a chalice, representing the holy and sacred observation of the eating of the body of Yah indwelling Christ consciousness. Okay, so the United Nations Declaration of the Rights of Indigenous Peoples. The Hebrew Israelites are indigenous people, specifically the Native Americans, which inhabit the land of North America, and all over the world. This is the rights of these indigenous peoples. Article 1. Indigenous peoples have the right to the full enjoyment as a collective or as individuals of all human rights and fundamental freedoms as recognized in the Charter of United Nations, the Universal Declaration of Human Rights, and international human rights law. Article 3. Indigenous peoples have the right to self-determination. By virtue of that right, they freely determine their political status and freely pursue their economic, social, and cultural development. So we're speaking about the culture of the Temple Divine under the indigenous peoples. So Article 11:1, indigenous peoples have the right to practice and revitalize their culture, their cultural traditions and customs. This includes the right to maintain, protect, and develop the past, present, and future manifestations of their cultures, such as archaeological and historical sites, artifacts, designs, ceremonies, technologies, and visual and performing arts and literature. Article 12. 1. Indigenous peoples have the right to manifest, practice, develop, and teach their spiritual and religious traditions, customs, and ceremonies, the right to maintain, protect, and have access and privacy to their religious and cultural sites, the right to use and control of their ceremonial objects, and the right to the repatriation of their human remains. So that is just an introductory evidence and documentary substance that will be used here in this video, and I encourage those viewers, those of you who are watching, to look more into the United Nations Declaration of the Rights of Indigenous Peoples. So moving on, so the rights, religious customary rights or rights. So this is involving the realizing the covenant with Yah and heirs of his kingdom. Man must realize himself as heir of Yah and realize the covenant one has with Yah indwelling. And the chalice is the cup used for the appropriation of Yah, or the eating of Yah, or the taking in of divine thoughts into man's mind. And cannabis is the sacrament or the tree of life, which allows man to receive awareness of God or gnosis and attain salvation or enlightenment, i.e. spiritual illumination. And I believe that is it for these slides in this particular PowerPoint presentation and documentation of the religious and customary items and practices of the Temple of Yah. So stay tuned for more videos. Let me see if I can get here this thing. Okay, peace.